Okay, in this video, we're just going to look at the Risco project, adding device info images. I'm going to load the apartment scene, and here are the Risco devices. This one, it looks like it needs, well, each device has a Risco device script, and on the Risco device script there is a device image that needs to be populated. It doesn't matter what language it gets populated in. Each device info image is gonna be different for different language. The Ycom panel will be different for English than for Hebrew. You could see I've just made a sample so that there's some English text and some Hebrew text. So it doesn't matter what language you populate it in. It just the name needs to be the same up until the underscore. So it doesn't necessarily need to say device info, but anyways, it needs to have the same name: Ycom panel underscore en, Ycom panel underscore he, for all the 5 different languages. Same. These are the welcome, and it probably makes sense to rename these to welcome because they're actually not device info images. They're the welcome images that display when the scene is first loaded and before the user picks up any device. Once they pick up a device, it'll switch into a device info image. And the way this works is that on the game controller, just like the audio clips, there needs to be defined all device info images. Now I've added a button here to add selected clips to the list for the audio and add selected textures to the list for the textures. And the way that works is, for example, on the audio, I'm going to pretend like this has nothing in it. And so I haven't added anything to the audio clips list, but every single audio clip that will possibly be played needs to be in this list. So to make that easy, I've added a button called Add Selected Clips to List. And if you go to the audio folder and you select these and then click this button, it will add them into the list. So for example, if I come over here and I click on something, it's going to change my inspector to be this audio inspector for the files I've clicked on. So what you're going to need to do is click on Game Controller, click the lock button right here, so it locks your inspector, and then select your audio files, and you could say Add Selected Clips to List. Now this isn't going to work for anything else like material. It's not going to add it to the list. But it's only going to work for audio clips. And the other nice thing is it's not going to add duplicates. So if I try to add all these blah files again, it won't add them because they're already there. So now I can just come back here, select everything again, and add those, and it's only going to go to 10. And clicking add isn't going to do anything because all these are already in the list. And the same thing works for the textures. You're going to need to go to your textures, device info images, select all your device info images. And well, right now the welcome ones aren't needed. You define those manually. But the device info images, for one for each device, in other words, each image, each texture image that is going to get populated on one of these Risco devices into this device image field, those need to be listed in the game controller, all device info images. Right now the size is 0, so I'm going to select these images, and I need to get back to the game controller, so I'm going to lock that, and I'm going to select all my device info images. I'm going to say add the selected textures to the list, and then I'm going to make sure that each device has a device image, and we will just use the Ycom panel for everything right now. And now we are done setting it up, and the way that will happen is when you play, and I'm going to need to unload the apartment real quick. when you play the game and you load the apartment at first, audio. It will display the welcome image. And this works just like it did before, where each scene, including the apartment, has this game object called device info. That's the panel. And that has a script here called device info image. These 5 textures are the welcome for each different language, and you just need to assign a different language. This is the image that's going to show when it starts, and then after that it's going to continue to show that image until you pick up a Risco device. Now when you pick up a Risco device, it looks at what texture is assigned here, and then it gets the localized version depending on which language is current, and it puts that onto the panel right there. So if I pick this up, it's going to show the YCOM panel in English, because right now I have English set. So if I were to restart this into Hebrew, then
Hebrew audio file,
it should show the different image. Well, I did make a welcome Hebrew version, so let me populate that on the apartment device info scripts, and for texture HE I just need to populate this right here, and those of course need to be done for France, and one welcome for each gets populated here. That's what's showing when it starts. So if I start it, and of course I'm going to need to unload the apartment. Looks like it needs a save too. And play Hebrew. We're going to have the Hebrew welcome
file
image showing. And when I pick up the device, even though I probably dropped in the English texture, it doesn't matter, because if I select this, it's gonna get
Hebrew audio
it's
file.
gonna get the localized texture. So that is how the textures work, the audio files work, and now there needs to be, I think, 85 different images. There needs to be 5 for the well, there's an intro image, 1 for each scene, so there's 3 times intro, 1 for each house, apartment, office, and then for each one of those there's there needs to be 5 of those, so that needs to be multiplied by 5 for the languages, and that's equal to 15 images for the 15 welcome images. And then I forget the exact number of Risco devices in the project. Looking at the PDFs, I think there was 14. So there's 14 devices, and there needs to be 1 image for each language. So 14 times 5 is 70, plus 15 is 85 total images. And that is why the game controller, I've made it easy to just select a whole bunch of stuff, lock the game controller, select a whole bunch of stuff, and then click add selected textures to list. And then same thing for the audio clips, because there will be a bunch of audio clips. Alright, I'm signing off.